Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects Tutorials, Demos, and Review. So today we'll be going through bass filters, how we can use them, how they work, and all that good stuff, without getting overly technical. Just pretty much explaining how these things, affect your sound. So I gave you two examples right there in the beginning. One of the bass balls, which is an twin envelope filter, and this one, the blurs. Let's just go with bam. Has a LFO built into it. So allows it to be a little bit more automated. It's not based on, and so basically the main difference between the two, other than sound, is going to be dynamic filters are based on your dynamics of your playing, versus an LFO, which we were listening to just now, has pretty much a time that is a BPM is working at, and you can adjust the notes, the length of the notes and things like that. You go from quarter notes to half notes or whole notes or whatever time you would like to use for that. But with the dynamic filters, the harder you play, the more the filter opens up. Which you can use to your advantage in grooving. up as you give it more dynamics. But bam. Okay. LFO is going to be, and I'm controlling the speed of this with my foot here. And it just so happens that with this same filter, I can set it to where my foot controls the filter. So it just simply opens up some of your options there. With it being foot control, of course, you don't have to worry about setting it to a particular BPM. You can now just freely use it and open and close the filter as you please. And both of these are analog filters. That's another distinction that needs to be made. So both of these are pretty much they just all analog circuitry. It's no real digital parts to them, other than the Blurst probably has, you know, something digital with the time clock in there. Well, no, even that's CBV, I believe. But all analog. So that analog filter has a nice warm. And this is what I just got on the Spectrum. The Spectrum's on, but it's on just on a little bit of overdrive. What's going on? Appreciate you coming in. Hit that like button for me while you're hanging with me. We're just going over bass filters and how they work and how you can use them to your advantage. So just a nice warm overdrive sound coming from the Spectrum, and I'm using the Blurst here. And if I wanted to turn all of that into a bass synth, wouldn't be difficult at all. The Blurst is absolutely an amazing envelope filter. I have to say that's one of the warmest sounding envelope filters. And it's just, let's just hear the Blurst by itself, because I feel like not enough bass players are really talking about it like that. But this is a ridiculous pedal. So it definitely adds a very nice warm sound to your filter section there. And not only that, but it even if you use all of the blur signal, no dry signal, I love how it still stays very warm and just colors your sound perfectly for for a filter, you know, and it's all analog. It sounds analog. Like when I'm thinking of an analog filter, the warmth of that is especially when you have that overdrive, you can really hear. And I got the resonance at 12 o'clock, but of course I can push the resonance on that, and it still stays warm. It makes it like it's so musical. So even with it by itself, it just sounds amazing. I think Electro Harmonics has some of the best pedals ever. You know, as you can see from how many Electro Harmonics pedals I have scattered around my boards here. You know, everything from my synth section down here on the floor with the Rabbit Sitar, Mel 9, Key 9. You know, of course, I trusted them to make filters, you know, and they have, you know, the Bassballs is another one of their filters. Let's get back to that one. So that Blursh one it's a very warm analog filter, which has the ability to be foot controlled, or you can set it to a particular LFO setting, whether it be quarter notes, dotted eighth, or eighth note triplets. And you can not only do that, but you could change the waveform of it. So let me go back to this real quick. So that's a rising sawtooth, saw wave. This is a triangle. And this is a falling. You can almost get like different effects out of it because it has that LFO built into it. And I'm actually controlling the range of the LFO, of the filter itself with my foot. Instead of controlling the frequency sweep, I'm controlling the range of the filter. See there, it's not using any depth. Now it's going using the entire filter, but I can make that, if I needed that a little bit more shallow, not so, you know, I can just move the filter up with my foot. And I can also control the rate. So different situations you can you know, choose which mode of the foot switch you would like to use, as well as you can choose to hook that up to other things that are TRS compatible with the MIDI time clock and set them to a certain rate, and that can sync up multiple devices if you needed to sync it with some other things. So very useful filter. I would definitely highly recommend checking out the Blurst. Very warm filter, especially if you're looking for like a wah type effect, you know, it's definitely going to give you that nice, like in my opinion, that's way better than any other wah I've ever played. And it's so warm. It's you know, hit that like button while y'all here. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. But that's crazy. Electro Harmonics always does a great job with their pedals. Then you got the bass balls here. So again, this one is an envelope filter and a fairly simple and cheaper option. So I actually scored that for $40. Got that jank for the 40 for the low. Right, just happened to go on Guitar Center. They had it used, grabbed it, and have loved it. Only thing I will say about it, you will need to add some EQ after it because it doesn't have a whole lot of bottom to it. It actually cuts some of your bottom, and it doesn't have a blend knob. It'd be nice if they could come out with their nano pedals they're making now, their little micro series, like this the deep freeze you see down there, or like the size of this Spectra comp right here, something like that, with some blend, with a blend in there or a mix. But this one responds to your actual playing. So you definitely can, for $40, used, or if you buy one brand new, I think they're around $100. You really, that is a nice analog filter to have around. And if you want to use it for more synth-based type stuff, I recommend bringing that response down. Without it, with it, that actually got pretty fat there. Hold on. So yeah, it can get pretty nice, rounder bottom. I guess if you wanted to get more into the synth bass territory, that definitely could get you there. You just run an octave down, a distortion, or overdrive. Okay, yeah, we got a few pedals. Come up here to see what we got here. DOD envelope filter and the Soundstone Sunwave pedal. Okay. Yeah, I haven't even tried. I've tried the DOD envelope before. That's pretty good. I haven't tried the Soundstone Sunwave. Let me see. What is that? A filter? Okay. You running about 130? Yeah. Okay, I'll check that out too. Yeah, how do you like it? Yeah, the DOD one's cool for sure. Definitely, most filters you can use for something. That's one thing I do love about filter pedals. They typically you can use them for something. They don't I guess it's not like octave pedals. Like some octave pedals just don't work that great. Like filters typically will at least have a few uses, even if it ain't all the uses in the world. Like I said, the bass balls you can't use on every single song or every single, sound, but there isn't any pedals that necessarily sound like that either. So, or filters that sound like that. So I definitely would check that out. I also have a MXR bass envelope filter, which is another analog filter. This is actually one of the first pedals I ever bought was this MXR bass envelope filter, and it has definitely served me well. So, obviously, that's one of my favorites right there. This is my main little board I'm using at the moment. So outside of the studio, most times if I'm not just taking like a Zoom B6, I'll probably be taking this little board here. And of course the MXR bass envelope filter made it on there. It don't stay on there all the time, but of course it's going to make it on there a few times. It sounds great. And it's versatile. And yes, I've tried the Poly Blue. It is right there on the same board. It's actually right there next to the Zoom MS-60B Plus. And guys, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, like, and share. And don't forget to hit up the Patreon if you want some of my settings. I got settings for the Zoom MS-60B Plus. I got a preset pack for that. Preset pack for Zoom B6. 20 each, in each pack there. And that is 20 of my presets rather. Then on the ToneX series pedal, I have 11 different preamp packs available for that, including things like the Magellan preamp, the A Aguilar AG preamp, Ampeg SGT, Eden WTDI. Also got things like Little Mark III by Mark Bass, Ampeg BA series head, Gensler Shuttle 9. Also got the TC Electronic BH500, the original joint. That's the big 30-pound head back there. And a few other ones. So it's 11 of those all together, or you can get my ToneX pack, preset pack, which includes 12 different preamps and 6 different cabinets, IRs, custom IRs, So, and we also got a 47 of my presets for the C4 synth. So we've been talking about that over the last few days. We'll get to the C4 synth and the Spectrum filters in a little bit. It's the same filters. So, yeah. So, and that's just that's actually the poly blue in mono mode with the C4. I mean, with the MXR bass envelope filter. So there's just both of those MXR pedals there, you know, and you can make some incredible sounds with just those two. Seeing how you can also add distortion. Let's change this to and that's literally just the poly blue and the MXR bass envelope filter. The poly blue by itself, nice sound. It's a octave down, octave up, distortion, and phaser, and then you run this into the envelope filter. You know, you can get some really nice sounds just working with that. And see, there I use it to add a little bit more body to the sound. Without it, with it, so all I'm doing is I put the decay on the MXR envelope filter all the way down, which pretty much it's like the depth of the sound. So how far down the frequency sweeps. So instead of, you know, for instance, instead of it sweeping all the way down to 30 hertz, you can move up the decay knob, and it might only move down to 100 hertz or something like that. So just for an example, compared to, and I use the sensitivity knob there because it's an envelope filter, which a dynamic envelope filter, rather. It depends on your dynamics. So you use the sensitivity knob to basically, as you're almost like how far you want the sensor to open. Have your general value that you'll be using, and then use the sensitivity knob to then critique the cutoff of the frequency, how far you want it to open. That's just how I use it, you know. Or you can use a sensitivity knob to, you know, yeah, that's pretty much how I use it. I use it as like a filter frequency cutoff to how, you know, if I'm playing at the same value, how far the filter is going to open. For instance, if I have it at around 3 o'clock, it opens all the way up. But if I have it around 9 o'clock, it stays almost closed. So see, it's almost like I can play a note like that, and then I'm gonna just turn the frequency, the sensitivity knob. And it allows, pretty much, you know, I use that as a way to cut off some of the higher frequencies if I would like to, you know, because the sound tends to thin out in that range. So I might not want the filter to open all the way. So I just bring that sensitivity down. And I still get a nice warm envelope filter sound even with a smaller pedal like that. So, and that's an absolute classic of a pedal right there. Like everybody, you know, most bass players that are into pedals and stuff probably will have an MXR bass envelope filter at some point in time, even if they just trying it out. But okay, let's move on to digital filters. I don't keep a whole lot of analog filters around because I really love the ones I have already. So I'm really good with that, especially once I got that blurst, you know. But I do have a filter on the Hog 2 that's really works well. And the reason I want to talk about that is because filtering is a part of bass synths as well. So even when I'm creating bass synths like in the C4, which we'll get to as well, the C4 synth, it's a part of the sound. So let's come over here. Let's on this off. Put this filter on here. I'm just gonna turn up a bunch of octaves. Versus all the way open. I didn't change any of the voice, and all I did was sweep down. Essentially, I just took this filter cut off here and brought it down. So now it's not as harsh of a sound, just because the filter's not opening and closing. It's just we literally brought the cutoff of the filter down to leave out some of that harsher upper frequencies we might not need with an octaver. So say I was just using an octave up and my original signal and doing like a solo type of thing, right? Oh, sorry, I got the envelope MXR layers on. That's another great pedal. If you haven't checked that out, the MXR layers is amazing. But now with the filter all the way open, right? Becomes even more obvious when you take this spectral gate off. Right? And see, that's how powerful filters are. You can literally cut out a lot of the now you got a usable sound that doesn't like you don't want your sound to be too piercing and it doesn't sound good, especially when you get to louder venues. Like you want to be able to use your octave sounds and things like that and have them sound nice and clean, and if anything, most things you'll be fine with them sounding a little warmer than a little colder, in my opinion. So, tell me this thing unfroze. Most things you'll be fine with them. Yeah. They done kicked me off my own thing there. That's bananas. Okay. All right, it's still on. All right. But I appreciate y'all patience. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Now, if you find this information useful, definitely hit that like button for me. I really, really super appreciate y'all hanging with me. And like I said, if you want any of my settings for different things that digital pedals, which we're going to get to the digital filters, because we were just talking about analog filters for the most part here. But the Hog 2 is a good transition into the digital filters. I feel like this one it might be a more of an analog filter, but just because of some of the sounds you can get, like if you going for it's not as warm as the blurst is. Like if you add that blurst to it, it'd be so yeah, I love the Hog 2, by the way. I haven't checked out the Pog 3 yet. It looks amazing, but it looks amazingly expensive as well. So it better be amazing for the price that they charging for that. But I think that the Hog 2 is still a great option. I'm still using the Hog 2 because it's amazing. You can do a whole film score with this little pedal here, to be honest with you. But if you could find one of these used for like $300, $350, definitely bag that. And try to find one with the controller with it so you can store your settings. Because your settings are going to make it's like you could just program sounds. This way you guys can kind of hear a little bit more of the filter on it. Let me open this. Oh no, that's. Oh, sorry. You could do detune with it as well. So it's an awesome little unit if you know how effects worked and how chorus is just really one copy of your original pitch that's detuning and or modulating up and down, sharp or flat. When you're in tune, it's a very clean chorus, but as you detune, you start to really get a nice lush sound. And the further you go, you really start to get. But even sounds like that can be used for film scoring, scary scenes, things like that. So you just gotta be creative in how you're using different things, different sounds. It's not always, can I use this in a rock and roll song or a jazz song, or because sometimes it takes new sounds to get you to new places. But so, filters give you a lot of options, no matter where you're using them at, but definitely with something like synth pedals, they definitely help you tailor the sound a lot more. Now, moving on from there, from the Hog 2 to something a little bit more recent, like the C4 synth, which has C4 synth and the Spectrum pretty much have the same filters in them. They both have octavers as well and distortion, but the C4 synth has quite a few more options. So if you're only going to get one, I actually have Spectrum there, C4 synth there. If you're going to get one, I would recommend getting the C4 synth, and that should allow you to do the majority of things that you would want to do with your stuff. So, all right, let me pull up my Nero app here. Well, matter of fact, before we even get to those, let's talk about some even cheaper options for you guys. So we talked about the baseballs being $40 used. The Blurst probably runs about $200 brand new, but you would, it's an analog, and I mean it's a mean, warm analog sounding pedal, but you could probably find one used for about $120, right? With the bass envelope filter, you can probably find one of those for about 80 used, 60 used, so those are some cheaper options. If you want something more versatile, something like the Zoom MS-60B Plus or the Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus would be great options for that. So if you don't have any other distortion pedals or anything like that you can run with it, I would recommend just go ahead and get you a MS-60B Plus, and that has filters in it. But I actually prefer the filter section in the MS-70 CDR Plus personally, and you get more modulations, you get more delays, more reverbs. Only thing that the the few things that MS-60B Plus is covering is things like it has amp models in there, it has distortions, overdrives, fuzzes in there. And a few other bass specific things that you may need to play. So if you want an all around pedal that's not just going to be an envelope pedal, or a filter pedal rather, you can get something like that, and that'll serve you very well. All right, so let me see. Let me add a filter from this one. Now that is not a bad envelope filter at all, especially for it to come in a pedal that has all those different effects. You have up to 6 effects at once, and not only can you do that, if you need to run 2 separate lines out of it, you can. You got stereo out on this too, so you can literally have the envelope filter coming out of your left side, dry signal coming out your right. If you wanted to split your signal into 2 different signal paths, an effects path and a clean dry path. But that's actually pretty good. Let me play around with that a little bit. So even right there, that's right off the back. That's the very first envelope filter that comes up on there, and that sounds great. Just so we have a quick comparison. That's the MXR. Here's the Zoom envelope filter. That sounds dangerously close. Hold on. Yeah, it's like a slightly beefier version of it. For real beefier with a little bit of the highs rolled off. So it doesn't sound far off from even, for most bass players, this pedal is on sale. The Zoom MS-60B Plus is on sale for $100 right now. Like I said, you'll pay $80 for the MXR bass envelope filter used. Is that price different or worth it? And mind you, all the other stuff you get in the MS-60B Plus. So that's something to think about. That is something. Is it that much better? It's up to the. Are people going to notice that in a song as much? Hey. Here's the bass auto wah. which kind of sounds like this without the dry signal. Well, no, not really. See, you can get pretty close between the two. That's not far off. Like, that's not like way left field for real, for real. Like, that's actually really close. And if I did added the dry signal, yeah, that is really, really close, guys. Like that. And this is the bass auto wah on the Zoom MS-60B Plus. Like I said, these Zoom pedals are serious. They look like toys. They look like Nintendo Switch controllers, especially when you got them together, the blue one and the red one there. But they are serious pedals, and they sound good. Like they, in a song, like you mean to tell me if a band's playing, you're gonna be able to tell the difference between those two? Like for real, you better than me. Like with all the other stuff, like, and imagine for the average person. So, because sometimes we get caught up on buying more gear. And like I said, if I wanted to run this as a dedicated filter pedal or something like that, I could also split that signal to where it split before it got to that wall, and use that as my dry signal out coming out of the right output of the Zoom MS-60B Plus, and the left output would be my effects or my wet signal coming out of my left side. So I can split them and work with them differently, and whatever else you want to do there. It's a mono input, but it's stereo output. Now the MS-70CDR Plus, that's stereo and stereo out, and it actually that one actually has more filters than the MS-60B Plus, but they had to leave room for the amp models, the IRs. I believe this one has a different set of compressors and a different set of let's see what else we got in this joint, because we got a lot of stuff in here. Overdrives. Oh, the preamps in there as well. Like you got a 1073 preamp in there, which is amazing. I love that setting. Different amp models, all that good stuff. But all right, we here for the filters. So both of those sound good. Here's the auto filter. Zoom bringing it right now. Zoom, I wasn't expecting, and I've played these before, but they didn't hit me like they hit. Maybe because I just went through those other filters and I'm hearing them right in close proximity to the analog filters, but these joints kind of smacking. And this is one of the reasons why I choose to go with Zoom over, say, Line 6 stuff. A lot of people ask me about the Line 6 HX Stomp and stuff. I don't really like Line 6 stuff, primarily because they don't tailor it for bass too much. Like, they give you a few bass things, specific things, but most of this stuff is just guitar stuff they throw and say you can use it on bass. I mean, but compared to Zoom, they took the time to tailor these bass effects to bass players, the modern bass players' needs. And I'm not endorsed by Zoom. I don't never talk to nobody at Zoom. I'm not getting paid from Zoom. I'm just giving you my honest opinion here on Zoom equipment. As you can see, I have one, the Zoom B6. I got a MS-60B Plus, MS-70CDR Plus. I got the original MS-60B and the original MS-50G, which is a guitar pedal, the guitar version of the bass stuff as well. So, and I have a B3 over there in the corner, Zoom B3, that I don't use anymore, but I keep it around in case I want to use these older effects, for something. But it's amazing to me how you can take that and how many you'd have to buy so many pedals to get these different filtering sounds, and that is nice and warm. Let me take some of this other stuff off, because all I got on, got the Empress on. Mind you, you can make a whole little pedal board within there. Oh, that's fire. I'm sorry, that's fire. And let's see what else we got. The Z-Tron. It's almost like a didgeridoo. It's like they took the time to add some beef to it. Like that is a hefty sound now. Like that is a hefty sound. Wow, that was amazing right there. Like that's warm. And that's a Electro Harmonix Q-Tron emulation there. And on the Zoom multi-stomp pedals, they have upgraded the analog circuitry to where when stuff is bypassed, it doesn't color your sound nowhere near like the other ones used to color your sound a lot. Now these are fine. They don't really color your sound at all. In terms of the actual circuitry, when everything's bypassed. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, Zoom. And a lot of these already have the parameter of to add your dry signal. The bass cry filter. And I'm going to take the time to add a distortion as well. Yeah, that Q-Tron, the original is great. It's another great option for analog filter. So Electro Harmonix, like I said, Electro Harmonix you can be buying Electro Harmonix pedals all the time and you'd have a complete setup and everything. It's just I love them. It's just sometimes, because they, when I'm going for my analog stuff, yeah. When my digital stuff, I do absolutely like Zoom stuff, to be honest with you. It sounds great. And for amp models, ToneX has the best amp model. So a ToneX 1 could be your amp section, and you can use your MS-60B as a complete effects pedal board. And then you got, 6 slots for effects and your amp models. Complete setup of a rig right there for what is that? If these are on sale for $100 right now, so for $279 you could get a ToneX, and ToneX comes with ToneX software and Amplitude. So you get both of those, and you still will have all the Zoom effects. So that's a killing setup. If you want a beginner setup that's going to allow you to build a pedal board around it, that would be it. But I'm gonna put some but the blueberry drive on here is really warm. It sounds nice. So yeah, sorry about this, guys. My genius self left my iPad over my sister's house. So now I have to bend all the way down and try to navigate all this stuff, all while trying not to ding up my bass. Here we go. So even that filter is amazing. Like, that's a nice crying. It's like that. All these would be separate effects that you would have to buy. Like, all these sound great. I don't get this filter, but this filter is a little weird. It's an envelope generator. Not, I have to go back and look and see exactly how this one works. It's a little weird. And you get another filter, sequence filter in here. So sequence filters, you know, are amazing as well. So the difference between like a sequence filter and just like a regular LFO sequencer is the sequence filter opens the frequency in different amounts to create that rhythmic pattern you're hearing. It's all the same pattern, it's just moving it to different parts of the frequency of the filter and in a rhythmic fashion, you know, so set to a certain BPM and a certain rhythm, like, and a certain amount of steps. So, you know, I think that's so that's an 8-step pattern, you know. So, you know, in something like the C4 synth, you can actually control and make your own sequence patterns up to 16 different steps, you know, and have your filters do things similar to that, set to certain BPMs and all that other good stuff. But all right. So let's go. All right. So now let's keep it moving. So I have a little setup on here, and we can. Here we go. So that's the Poly Blue and the MS-70 CDR Plus right there with a little bit of overdrive from the MS-60B Plus. Mind you, shameless plug, all these presets, you know what I'm saying, and stuff for MS-60B Plus, Zoom B6, ToneX series pedal, and got a pack for the C4 synth. Check them all out. Hit that like button while you're hanging with me. I appreciate you hanging with me. And if you want to support the channel more, Patreon. If you want to, hit something now, you can hit the Cash App, Super Chat, Super Thanks, comments. If you got questions, it's a good time to go ahead and ask them. I'll try to get to them as long as they're on topic of bass filters. I'm not talking about no pedals that aren't bass filters because that's not what we're doing today. It's bass filter day, not a distortion day, fuzz day. I'm only introducing those elements to highlight the filters a little bit more. Sometimes the filters are easier to hear with a little bit of distortion or fuzz or overdrive or bit crushing. But yeah, so let's get it. So we're getting some bit crushing from the MS-70 CDR Plus, as well as it has a low pass filter that's really similar to like a Moog style filter. So if you really into that sound, the MS-60B Plus, MS-70 CDR Plus, these little names, you get me. Definitely has a good variety of filters. It does have a bit crusher, no distortion or overdrives or fuzzers or nothing like that, but it does have a bit crusher, and I believe it has a ring modulator on here too, but I gotta check again. But ton of modulations, all that different stuff, delays, reverbs, all for $120. It's a lot of stuff in there. So without the filter, see, sounds fine without the filter. But say you wanted to tame that sound and make it a little bit less aggressive in your face, the filter is going to still let it be aggressive, but it's going to it like makes it punchier because of the filter opening. Definitely adds a lot to the sound there. This is without the overdrive distortion pedal on. See, it's nice when the filter has some type of grittier pedal before it that adds like some sort of like that almost like makes it almost like a sawtooth wave in certain aspects. it's nice when you have that, and then you go into a filter, because that automatically, it's like it automatically puts you in synth territory. All right, so let's check out a few more filters here. That is a great sounding filter, especially for it to coming in a multi effects pedal for 100 or something bucks. That's why I said, I love the way Zoom pedals are. They're reasonably priced, but they still sound good, and not just like good enough for you to practice with, good enough to use around the house. They sound good enough for you to use in any situation, whether it be a studio situation or going to play in a live on stage. Even guys like Marcus Miller use Zoom pedals. They just don't talk about it a lot, but it's a ton of it's a ton of people that use Zoom pedals that are amazing players. So they're not just beginner pedals. I think sometimes they get lumped in as beginner pedals because they don't cost a lot. And we get sometimes we get to being snobby, a $100 pedal can't beat a multi effects. All the good multi effects cost $1,200, and no, they don't. You could take these two pedals right here, these multi-stomp pedals, and that's 12 slots. That is a nice size pedal board right there. 12 pedals at a time. And not only that, but you can split the signals to go route them differently, You don't have a ton of routing, but you got enough routing to do what you need to do with that. And if you're a beginner or somebody who likes simplicity, just because something is easy for beginners to use doesn't mean it's a beginner's tool or only a beginner's effects pedal. It just means it's easy to use. It's intuitive. It doesn't make you have to memorize some massive manual to use it. That's all it is. It's like these are fairly simplistic, and they sound good. Even when I was just flipping through the filters on the MS-60B Plus, like those sounded great. This sounds great. Sounds really gets you really close to that Moog sound, And the ones that are the same as on the MS-60B Plus, I'm going to skip those because it's literally the same algorithm. Only difference is the MS-70 CDR Plus. It comes with some guitar effects. So some of these are guitar filters also. So, and the main difference is they won't have a lot of times won't have as much bottom, and they won't be have a mix knob. So that's the main thing between the Zoom guitar pedals and the Zoom bass pedals. A lot of the effects will be, other than amp models, things like that, they take the time to take these, like the cry filter. This is a good example. Right, that's the guitar one here, and here's the bass one. Has more bottom right off the bat. Just way more aggressive right off of the back. So, you know, they do an excellent job. Excellent job at recreating some of these effects. Some of these are modeled after older pedals they don't make anymore or hard to find. You know, got your LFO filter. And here's a random filter. They also have the sequence filter. So they have all the filters that are in the MS-60B Plus are on the MS-70 CDR Plus, and some extra ones. And like I said, I'm only doing the extra ones. I'm not doing the same ones over again. You know, from the MS-60B Plus. So. So this is like, it's kind of random. I'm sure the pattern repeats somewhere, but you know, you got different abilities with these. So you get the sequence filter, the random filter, and the step filter. So this comb filter does like a notch in a particular place. Like it's more like a notch filter. So you pretty much set the filter in a specific frequency range, and it'll like combs out the other ones. So it's just like you could shift things. It's a weird type of filter, but see how it added. It has like some bottom because of how I have it set up versus bypass. So could be a useful effect. This slow filter. So great little filter, probably could be used for like slower stuff, but you could definitely get funky with it. Easily get funky. So that's all the ones on there that we hadn't covered on the MS-60B Plus. And mind you, like I said, all the ones on the Zoom MS-60B Plus are available on the Zoom MS-70 CDR as well. CDR Plus, rather. All right, let's get to the C4 synth. So you have the C4 synth and the source audio C4 synth and the Spectrum. Spectrum is just like a stripped down version of the C4 synth without all the extra stuff. So I'm just going to do this from the C4 synth. Plus I have my expression pedal already hooked up to that one. So yeah, this is a good place to start. This is one of the settings from the pack. That's, mind you, got the 47 different preset pack available for the C4 synth. So you got 47 different bass synth sounds. You know, just giving you guys a quick run through. Get you there, get you there. Yeah, all that. That was definitely more me messing up than the pedal. So all these available in the preset pack, you know, and more. So let's get back to it. Here is the gated fuzz moog filter setting I created. So you actually get 28 different filters. It's a ridiculous amount. Like, it's a ridiculous amount. And most of these, you know, you just have to take your time and get to know how to use this, you know, these filters. So you get everything from a 3 parallel low pass filter, 6 pole low pass filter, 2 pole. Of course, you get a notch, low pass, peak, peak, notch, low pass, peak. You know, what else you got? Band pass, triple peak, 4 different triple peak ones. Just ridiculous stuff here. Classic wah, double peak, 6 pole all pass. So you got a 6 pole low pass and a 6 pole all pass. 2 different filters. High pass, peak. So let's see. Let's just flip through some of these. Let me check this out here. Let me see. Put this on completely wet sound. Kind of like a more subtle filter. See what I got this envelope. And the thing about something like the Source Audio C4 synth, you're gonna have different. You can change these filters to different envelopes. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the envelope that you know, like some of these, like I said, like the Blurst has 3 waveforms or shapes. It's called shapes on there. So you got like a the envelope is just pretty much how the sound, the attack of the sound and decay of the sound. So how long it takes for the sound to get to the open up all the way, and how long it takes for it to close and or cut off. Let's change this filter to envelope 2. See how it's closing really fast now? time for that filter to open like that. So what you can do is you can go to the envelope section of the C4 and change the envelope. So if I want a fast attack, see, it opens up really fast, but it takes a long time to decay. So let's see. And so all these different little aspects of the sound, whether it be the depth of so the depth is typically going to be how low the frequency the filter goes, So, instead of it going all the way down to the 30s and 40s and 50 hertz, it might only go down to the 200s, you know what I'm saying? And the frequency, just explaining the controls on the C4 synth, at least, the frequency would be the cutoff of the frequency. So as I roll that off, it gives me less, the filter opens up less. And the Q is just the resonance. I look at it like how aggressive a filter is with the resonance. So yeah, and I doubt we make it through all of these joints. Like, matter of fact, let's go to one of my other settings. Let's go to synth bass sound and then change the filter on that. Two parallel low pass, two pole low pass. It's more like that. Get you. What's this mix on? Okay. It gets you closer to that Moog filter sound, the 2-pass and the 4-pass low filter. It's a 4-pole peak notch low pass. Very aggressive. Then we got this low pass peak. Very aggressive. That's a little too aggressive for what I like, Well, a little too aggressive for this particular waveform, in my opinion. Let's try a 4-pole low pass peak. get some different sounds out of this. Without the filter, that's the sound. With the filter, so all these are different filters. We ain't gonna make it through all of these. There's a lot of them. Here's a classic wah. See how I can just completely transform the sound. And this is only going from 50% of the frequency cut off to 100%. That's a much more aggressive sound when you bring that cutoff frequency down. Triple peak. So there's a ton of different filters on this pedal here, and the Spectrum. Both of them have 28 different filters. I can't go through all of them, but some really nice sounds can be created, you know, using these two in particular. The sound, these two, you know, just the C4 by itself is a ton of different options for your playing. So definitely make sure you check it out. You know, and make sure you hit that like button for me. You know, we about to we wrapping this up now. You know, hit that patreon.com/allbasscreations and check out my settings for the C4 synth. I got my preset pack for that. The 11 different preamps and preset pack for the ToneX series pedal and software. I got packs for the MS-60B Plus and the Zoom B6, and I'll be coming out with one for the MS-70 CDR Plus. So stay tuned for all of that stuff, and I will catch you guys later. I definitely appreciate you hanging with me. Hit that Cash App if you want to support, and if you want to check out my music, allbasscreations.bandcamp, as well as all social media is at the Bass Negus. Go follow me on something else, plus whatever you following me on now. Hit that subscribe button.